what I want to do today is I want to use our AI tool and do a comparison. And so I'm going to upload. So I'm just going to basically, we'll go through the scenario. So I'm going to imagine that I have a lead and they've gotten another illustration from, let's say, a competitor, and I want to run a comparison to see if we can beat that, what they currently have. This is a great feature for not only just comparing, but what we've seen it used for a lot of agents is doing replacements. And so if you're talking to somebody and they have an old annuity and they want you just to run an analysis and to see how competitive it is, really easy to do on the AI tool. And then you can also see if there's a better product out there that they maybe have better guarantees or a better rate or performance or whatever that is, they can look at it. So I'm going to come into this client that I just created, Frank Lucas. I am going to upload that. You can see I just barely did it. I'm going to upload an illustration that they had. And I'm going to say, all right, I uploaded this illustration. I'm going to say this client has a illustration from another agent. Please compare and see if we have a better annuity. This was an income product, so better income annuity option. All right, so I'm going to send that in and let the AI start doing its thing. And so this takes a second. It's usually about 60 to 90 seconds or so when it's doing the comparison. What it's going to do is it's going to read the PDF, and then it's going to go and it's going to do an analysis of, in this case, annuity or income options. And then it should give me a side-by-side comparison on the recommended products that we could do. And then it'll put it all out in a nice couple-page form that I can compare, and then hypothetically could show to my prospective client. And so this, because it's scanning this, it's usually a little slower than traditional AI output, but is really good. For those of you that are beginners, I think this pops up a lot with people that are buying leads, annuity leads specifically, because a lot of the times the leads that you're buying on exclusive. And so they're like, I put in $250,000, I'm looking for income options, whatever. And then you buy that lead and they've gotten 2 other or 3 other agents that are contacting them on the same thing. This is nice because if you can basically like, yeah, I can do a quick analysis and compare it to see if we get something better than what you've been looking at, you can use that in that scenario. And on the flip side, for experienced agents, obviously you can use it the same way, but this really comes into play with replacement options. If you're doing a cross-sell opportunity and an old annuity pops up, or they have an old annuity that you want to just do an analysis that you may have sold them a few years back, and you just want to take a look to see how it's doing and see if there's anything else, obviously this works great for that and makes it super easy. If you were to go to think about in the past before this, obviously you could do analysis on products, really, this isn't anything new, but the actual kind of legwork and time that it would take to do this would probably take a minute. And this is going to do it in, I think this will probably end up taking about 2 minutes or so. And so it'll save you a ton of time regardless. And all right, we're getting the final output and we can go through this as well. As I mentioned before, I want this to be interactive. So if you have any questions, you can put those in the chat down at the bottom. There's also a Q&A section as well that you can put in questions. And so feel free to ask questions along the way. I may not get to them immediately, but I'll definitely stop and pause throughout this to go through those because I want everybody to have any questions that pop up. All right, it looks like it's almost finalizing it. So this is super cool because basically you can see right here, if I scroll back up, so it has the illustration, the other scenario, it just basically went through what we already had with 220 instead of 20. So just some differences on data that we put in, not a big deal. And then it's going to do an apples to apples comparison. And so it basically has the income. Let's see what the name of the product that we had before. So it has day 1 bonus. Here's a breakdown of a couple head to head. This is 2 different options that it's giving me right now. And then it's basically, all right, so here's product number 1, product number 2, and then it's going to give me everything right here at the bottom. All right, so retirement plan, how it works, your options. So primary recommendation is this Global Atlantic. It's 2,276, and it has my alternative right there. Here's the comparison between the two. between the two recommendations, and then the deferral time, because there's different deferrals. And so here's the two products that it's basically looking at adding, how this compares to the other proposal now. And so this is where it gets good. And so annual income, monthly income difference. And so it looks like previously it was 1856. Now the product we're looking at is 2276. Center period is a little bit different. I can obviously make adjustments to that as needed. And so in this case, it's paying, at the end of the day, it's paying $420 more a month and has, which is $100,000 more over the guaranteed period of time. And then basically just more information. And so this is great because, again, I have a side-by-side that I can go to, and it's easy to show because I basically just have option A, option B, and it's super clear for the customer to see in that case. And I'm just going through this. Okay, updated the surrender period. Perfect. And we're good to go. So again, pretty easy to use. It takes, I think that took us 5 minutes or so from entering in to getting everything there. And then I can make adjustments along the way. Say I don't like something that I put in and I wanted to look at another option. I can easily edit it right now and basically just ask for whatever I wanted to make an adjustment for. Or if I wanted to, again, tweak something on the numbers and look at like different deferral times or options, I can easily put that in as well. And if you've never seen Annuities Genius before and our AI tool, it works the same. It's basically a text to prompt or speak to prompt on what you can tell it to do. So I can basically just type in or speak in kind of what adjustments or what I want to do in general with anything else. And then we have some pre-built prompts as well. So if you're not necessarily super sure what it can and can't do or need some ideas, I can come into the pre-built prompts and it has the different kind of topics and then the sub prompts underneath that I can go through as well. So if I wanted to like run anything else or go through objection handling or talk about a whole new annuity strategy and kind of look at that, I could go through all of that based off of whatever I need to do specifically. And so again, this is basically just our PDF upload tool. Pretty straightforward. How I got there again is I come back to the dashboard and I just clicked on an existing client that I already had in the tool. I can enter a new client and basically do it the same way. But how I upload a file is I'll just do it from scratch. And so let's say that I want to create a client. I would put them in right here. And then once I'm just going to actually type it in right here. I like the text to type is quicker. So I'm going to say Bobbing 62 AZ. So I'll go create client. And then that'll enter him in the system. And then it'll ask for additional information. Let's say I'm unsure, create client. And then once I create client, I can attach PDF. And then I would just basically run that comparison right there. Pretty straightforward with how to enter that in. I'll pause right there. Any questions with anything thus far? If for the beginners, that might be a little high level, but it gives you just a general idea of some of the functionality, which is awesome if you're doing replacements. All right, so let's transition over to the second piece of our. Let's see, one question: do we have to scan in the PDF in advance? So if you mean scan in as far as putting it into a PDF, it does need to be in a PDF form, and you would need to upload it for the comparison right there for it to be able to pull the data. All right, let's go to and solve for an actual case and basically put the tool to use in kind of real time. And so if one of you wants to put in a case details, give me a kind of a client scenario, I'll put that in and we'll actually build out the case together and see what we get. And I use as much or as little information as you want. And so if you want to make one up or if you're working on a case or anything like that, just toss that case details in the chat and then we'll start building it up. At a minimum, I just need a name, state, age, and then some type of scenario. And then we can start building it out. And so I'll wait for just a moment and let someone put it in. If no one puts it in, not a big deal. I have some sample cases that we can build as well. That'll show us the same functionality and everything like that. Don't feel pressure that you have to put one in. Okay, so looks like we got one right here. All right, so I'm going to put this, I'm just going to enter it in for the text. Unfortunately, I can't copy and paste. All right, so we have Des Smith, 61, 60 in Cali. with 225,000 and wants income at age 67. Cool. All right, I'll create case. Thank you for putting that in. So it's basically just going to put in the information, verify everything. So age, name, state, amount of money. We'll just say it's qualified in this case. Goals, generate income, income start age, 67. I'll put that in again. And then create client. All right, so once it creates a client, it's going to take me to this prompt page where now I can, if I need to add or get anything else, I can do that. Or if I just go right into generate income plan, I'm going to do that. And we'll start letting the AI do its thing. All right, with this income plan, let's see if it's going to ask me for more income data. If not, I can actually stop this. And so the cool thing about this is when we're running kind of an income scenario, I can just basically look at actual income options, or if we wanted to run more kind of an income needs analysis that asks for their specific income or anything like that, I can do that as well. So let's just add to this case, and let's say that their estimated monthly retirement expenses are, I don't know, say 4,000. Let's put that in, and they have some Social Security as well, and they get, let's say, 1,800 from Social Security. And then we'll say, yes, they have other resources. And then death legacy is not necessary for this analysis. All right, so now it's going to do, aside from just give me spit out income options for that 225,000, it'll also put it into kind of a more income analysis of their overall picture as well on what they're doing. In this case, it does a monthly gap fill, which is basically saying, okay, we have $4,000 a monthly expenses. You get 1,800 from Social Security. How do we plug that gap of 2,200? And then it's going to basically go and look for options on utilizing the 225,000 from this amount that we put in. All right, so we'll wait for this to start building out, and then we'll see what we get out of it. What's cool about this, again, if you haven't used Annuities Genius or GrantAI a lot, is it's very thorough and gives me pretty comprehensive feedback. Whereas it gives me a lot, and then I can narrow it down, or I can make adjustments, or I can obviously change things along the way. So in this case, it's going to be an income gap analysis, kind of what we're looking at. It's going to review everything, and then it's going to go, okay, based off of this, here's 3 options that all cover that $2,200 of what we're looking at. And so it basically gives me this breakdown initially. It's going to give me 3 recommendations. And then from here, like if I'm not familiar, I can go like, why this product? And I can get more information on details about the product itself. Or if I'm like, well, or let's say that I am familiar with, I like Midland, I like North American. I'm going to say, okay, we're North American number 1. We'll take out Global Atlantic for this one. And we'll just basically go with, I'm going to take out this, and we'll just go with this Midland product for the proposal itself. So I'm going to go create proposal, and now it's going to put it up in more just a more, call it client-friendly form that I can go through. And as a beginner, for those of you that haven't sold annuities yet or just getting started, this is great because you don't have to be an annuity expert or a product expert or anything like that. All you have to do is just be good enough at asking discovery questions to identify an annuity opportunity, and then just basically plug it in here and let Annuities Genius or the technology fill in that product knowledge gap, as well as just general information gap when it comes to pitching it and how to present it. And so we'll wait this to basically create the case. It's not only going to give me, obviously we have the product recommendation, but what's cool is it's also going to give me the why behind why this fits to their scenario and how it fills in the income gap for this as well. And it's basically give me a breakdown of how the income works with the product itself, looking at income, gap coverage, with general illustration with highlighting that, as well as some numbers, key product details. And so this kind of gives me the background of the product as well. So it gives me product education. So as I pitch this, I'm comfortable talking about it and confident more than anything. And then Again, it's going to create it in a nice little client report that I can use it as a PDF as well. And so reviewing this, it has your retirement picture, a breakdown. So it looks like we have a little bit of a surplus because we're trying to get 4,000. We got a little bit more. We got, in this case, 210 to more. Here's a recommended solution. So I have the actual product itself. It reviews that. It talks about how the product is built, the account value projections in this case, hypothetical versus guaranteed, and then general questions. So what happens if I need cash, how it solves the income gap, and then key product features as well. And then I basically have everything right there ready to go. If I wanted to jump again, details of the product itself, I can pull that up. I can go into the brochure, the actual product brochure. If I wanted to illustrate this, I could click on illustrate, and then in a separate tab, it'll open up the actual product illustration as well. And so I basically have everything right there ready to go. Now, if I wanted to get more granular, and let's say that I needed help just prepping on this, I could say again, help me prep for the solution presentation. So let's get like more like actual help on how do I present this if I'm a beginner. And then it's going to give me almost like a script on how I present this in that meeting with the client. And so I'll let that kind of do its thing. Looks like we had a question pop up. After you start, can you go back and edit the starting premium? Yep, you can make edits to the premium as well. I'm going to go through talking points, objection handling. All right. How familiar is, I'm going to say some exposure. No, we'll say first timer. And then what's the biggest concern? We'll say fees, locking up money. We'll say fees. All right, cool. This just helps you design the presentation a little bit more. Yes, you can edit the starting premium. And then will AI work with carriers that you're partner? Yes. So based off of, yes, when you're running through any pieces of Annuities Genius, when you set up your account initially, you'll create what's called a product deck, which is basically just all the carriers that you're currently contracted with. So when you're running through different quotes and scenarios, you're only going to see products that you can actually sell and not basically pitch something to your client that all of a sudden you find out, oh, whoops, I'm actually not contracted with this carrier. And then you have to go back and say, oh, find another one. And that kind of just obviously kills the momentum of the deal. And so, yeah, you'll create a deck up here and select the carriers that you currently have access with. If you have an enterprise account, like you get an account through your IMO, that's just automatically built in. And so you don't have to worry about doing that. It'll have it, the carriers pre-populated that you have access to. All right, so basically with this, what's awesome and why I really like this piece of the tool is it basically gives me like a presentation prep. So it's like almost having a sales trainer right there working with you, where it has an overview, it goes through key talking points, and it basically just has different things that you could say, almost like a script. It's going to go through objection handling, which I think is awesome. So in this case, beforehand, I said that they're worried about fees. And so it's going to dive into the actual fee itself and then reframe it, do the math of it, showing what it looks like. And then what's awesome about this is it compares it to alternative investments because they're going to do something with that money. And so how does that tee up in kind of apples to apples comparison to other products that they may be looking at? And then two, with that fee, what value am I getting out of that? I think if you talk about the value behind it, it starts to make a lot more sense. And then they say, okay, great, I'm paying this fee because I'm getting X, Y, Z. In this case, guaranteed income, downside market protection, some of the things that my goals were. And so it basically allows me to get there. And so now you're selling value and not just a number. And then it has some other secondary objections and then closing language as well. So this is great because it basically just gives you an overview that I can utilize. And again, I can make adjustments to this as well. This is just a draft. And then I'm basically good to go. So hopefully, so basically reviewed what we did. We took our client that we had that needed income options for 225,000. I added some additional kind of context for this just to show the income gap piece, which is always nice. And then it basically gave us this option. We selected this, I don't even remember the carrier was, this North American product. And then we have everything built out in here. So I was just actually looking at my clock, my phone when we started this. I think we're 6 or 7 minutes into this, where we basically took client details, built out entire case, narrowed it down to a product, have the client kind of portfolio, and then we also have the whole prep for the presentation as well right here. And so basically less than 10 minutes, we took something, prospective client, built out a whole case, and now I'm ready to go. So you can imagine, like for those of you that have sold before, in this, I think 26 minutes into it, we did a full analysis of the replacement opportunity and then a whole new client, and basically created 2 full cases and kind of a detailed overview of both in less than 26 minutes. And so if you're working and selling a lot of deals and you're probably spending a lot of time, or someone on your staff is spending a lot of time on building these out, where now you can save a ton of time, probably work a lot more efficiently, and free up a lot of other resources for doing things that will help probably drive more revenue, whether that's through marketing or other things, or just more free time. And so hopefully that gives you an idea behind some use case scenarios with Annuities Genius. We have a couple more minutes before our time is up, and I want to respect everybody's time. And before we wrap up, are there any questions that any of you have with anything that we've covered, or just about Annuities Genius in general? The floor is yours, and so ask away. And so while I'm waiting to see if any questions pop up to fully answer that carrier deck question. So when I come into here, I'll come into, let's say I'm creating a new deck. So I'll go create a new deck. I'll label it. So I'll go like ABC for this example. And then I'll select my distribution channel. I think most of the time it's probably going to be independent agent annuity types that I have. I'll go create deck. And then I just click through the different carriers. I believe we now have 113 or 114. I'll click through the carriers, and then I'll save that. And then last thing it'll do, it'll basically pull up each carrier and the products within each carrier. And then some of them come through other distribution channels or whatever else that they're not going to show on. And then once it's good to go, I'll save that, and I have a new deck. And so I have all my decks right there. All right, so a couple other questions. After the AI has completed its research, do the screen share. So yeah, as far as sharing your screen, that's totally up to you. So I know a lot of people that do, just because they want to show visual to the client. That tends to resonate a little bit better, but that piece is up to you. Can you create an application directly from the carrier? So the application piece is going to come through, we do have EAP capabilities. That's through Firelight, is the EAP interface that the carriers use as well as we use. The limitation is going to be based off of your IMO. And so we have to sync up to the IMO's Firelight instance to go to the carriers. And the short answer is yes, but we have to set it up via Firelight. You can look back on this via YouTube, and so this will get posted to YouTube. It's currently being recorded. It usually takes us a couple days to get it all uploaded to YouTube, but you can go on YouTube and see all of our past webinars as well. And as far as presenting what you show the client, that's up to you. And so you can show like that client report, this little PDF, and kind of show them. That's traditionally what most people will share. Some people will share the whole screen. Some people will just share this, or some people will just share like the illustration page once they find the product. And so that piece is up to you. To edit anything on here, as far as the starting premium goes, I can just come in and just type it in right here and be like, hey, can we adjust the premium to 150,000 instead of 225? I can also make edits right here as well to the client, update the client. So I would just come in, put in 150, save it, and then we'll update the client as well. But looks like we've hit our time for today. I appreciate everybody hopping on. Again, we do these every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and so feel free to hop on next week, and have a great rest of your day.